Hey, new camera, new setup, and I wanted to have a quick discussion about all of the good community discussion that's happening in the Agora. So, I wrote this out in kind of a letter format. I was going to post it as text, but I think that there's going to be too much nuance missed if I just post it as text. So I'm recording a video. I'll also post the text, but I'm going to record a video kind of explaining the thinking here. So I said, thanks so much on the great discussions lately. They've really helped clarify some things, and we're excited about the direction we're heading. After talking it over with our dev team and others, we realized that we might be falling into the trap too many crypto projects do, which is overcomplicating things. So I wanted to just kind of refocus on a couple of primary goals. I know I'm the one that said, hey, help me figure this out, but it actually was useful to see all of the community conversation because I realized that I think things can be simpler, and so I want to present some simpler ideas that we can unpack. And just know that we'll be rolling out more information about what some of these things that we're building are in the coming weeks, so that you can understand how all these pieces connect together. So the first one we already know, because we've been talking about it. We need to reduce onboarding friction. So we want to make it super easy for anyone to jump into our platform, create designs, and start earning money. And so one of the things that we've been considering, we're basically, right now, the top key levels are basically in the 25% commission range. And so what we've been thinking about is some mechanism where a brand could join and basically just be grandfathered in at 25% commission. Maybe they have to buy a key. We can decide what needs to happen to get to that 25%. But when I talk to some of the larger brands that want to come into the ecosystem, 40% is a nice to have, and that would make it an instant yes for a lot of these people. But 25% is around the industry average. And so as we were discussing today, this new reward system that we have coming out, we thought, well, wouldn't it be more interesting and more beneficial to the community if somehow brands come in and they start, or they very quickly can up level and get to 25%. What we're trying to prevent is a brand having to ever touch any crypto stuff if they don't want to. And I'll explain why that provides infinitely more value to key holders as we get further along. But the idea would be that 25% immediately, they can opt into this. However, they're opting into an opportunity to boost that up to 40%, but the other 15% would be distributed to a community. So the 25% upfront commission would be what they're grandfathered in at. However, if they want to garner a community around them, or get their existing community to come and support the project, which in order to support the project, they'll have to mint keys. I'll get to that in a second. They could increase those rewards up to 40% and incentivize a community around them. So brands could also unlock higher commissions by engaging the community, making a win-win for everyone. And this increases the utility for keys, key levels, and treasure, as we'll see. So we've been working on adding significant new utility to the keys. We know that with the new V2, the primary thing that we need to do is mint out the rest of the keys and make those keys incredibly valuable in the ecosystem, so that there's sustained secondary marketplaces for that. So soon you'll be able to stake your key levels. Right now, those key levels are just tied into the DeFi game. You can't do anything with them. They're not a denomination that has any decentralized value. But in the new e-commerce store, brands will have a brand page, and you'll be able to go to that brand page and you'll be able to stake your key levels. So if you have 80 key levels, you can stake 40 key levels to one brand and 40 key levels to another brand. And that pool of key levels that get staked to that brand becomes the pool that, if you opted for the 25% and didn't want to play the crypto game, now that other 15% of commissions is distributed to the pool of people in the community. what we're building out for paying commissions makes it relatively easy to just add additional wallets onto that payout and pay it out based on percentage of pool. So if there's 100 key levels staked to a brand and I staked 80 of those, I get 80% of that 15%. So that could be it could be for a big brand, that could become a significant pool to incentivize a community. And then, obviously every brand's trying to get to a tipping point, and that tipping point is when the brand kind of takes on a life of its own, and sales start occurring outside of the community. And so this would be a reward for community members because they're now incentivized. They're going to make money when something sells, at an even deeper level than if you're just playing the DeFi game. This then gives them an incentive to go out and share this project, etc. So, this will turn brand building into more of a team effort, leading to two major benefits. One is unlock unique promotional tools. So when I've done calls with some of our top creator brands, basically the things that they need help with is promotion. And so what we're going to be opening up and be utilizing some of our internal team that is already doing this for NFTREASURE is creator brands will be able to unlock cool promotional tools like email marketing, ad campaigns, retargeting ads, their own e-commerce store. I'll get to that in a second. Twitter Spaces, tweets, merchandise review videos, and more. So these are all the things that right now, in order to accelerate your sales, you need to have all of these things. And we've had some creator brands say, hey, can you run a campaign for us? And we've had other creator brands that say, I don't have enough money to do this right now. Is there some in-kind way that I could earn these things? So basically the way that it will work is the more key levels that are staked to a brand, the more of a discount that they'll get on these agency services. So I'll get to that in a second. One of the things that I wanted to showcase is that their own e-commerce store. So right now, if you're a brand, you're nftreasure.com/brand/unsubscribe or whatever your cockatoo, whatever your brand name is. We now have the e-commerce tool developed where we could spin up a separate e-commerce store. So you could run unsubscribe.com and have your own e-commerce store, and it would still be able to utilize our NFC tech, our crypto payments, the ability to use NFTs for redemptions and to airdrop NFTs. So really where we're heading with this is this being a standalone project. Now, right now, that would be a white glove project where our dev team would have to set it up for you. But ultimately, at some point in the future, I don't want to put a timeline on it, this can become a competitor to Shopify. Shopify is an $80 billion brand, maybe, something like that. Well, what's happening is that the future of tech is moving into hyper niches and hyper niched products. And so if we build the e-commerce platform for crypto users, it solves a massive problem in the marketplace, which is that Shopify keeps shutting crypto projects down every time they try to connect crypto in. We started to build the redeem, the prize redeem on Shopify, but we had so much functionality error because Shopify kept throwing errors. They kept changing their API, and then they just said, you can't do that. You can't do some of the crypto stuff that we wanted to do unless everybody in your community KYCs. So having your own e-commerce store, this is going to be another value add that just adds to what NFTREASURE can produce as a product and the value that we can grow around the community. However, our early creator brands, if they garner enough key level staked, which means that they're going to have to be doing promotion, which means they're going to have to be active in the Discord, they're going to have to be actually involved in NFTREASURE, they can unlock all of these things. It also allows them to have faster commission increases. So brands that have a collective amount of community key level stake can unlock expedited commissions. For example, once a brand reaches a certain threshold, they can receive up to 40% commissions. And then really this should be not potentially, in order to access this deal where they get a 25% commission, they're basically opting in to sharing the rest of the commissions with stakers. So this would be 15%. This is a great deal for stakers and provides massive value to key levels. So again, we're spitballing here. I'm just throwing this out here, in the sake of brainstorming. But we do have a lot of this underlying tech kind of lined up because as we're thinking about creator brand reward systems, like this would align with what's already being built. So here's a rough idea of what it could look like. So cumulative key levels. We'll set a threshold for unlocking 40% commissions. So maybe that's 1,000 key levels. Maybe it's 5,000. We'll think about mathematically what the right number is. I think in the Agora for a single keyer creator, we were looking at like 250 to 450. So we'll think about what is that right amount. If you don't have to buy the keys yourself, but you can have community members stake to you, it should be a larger threshold, but still not too much. Because we actually want to incentivize some of these commissions going directly to key level stakers. So this can be achieved by a single user or by a brand that attracts other community members to stake their key levels. So one of the things that this will help us do is we can do a better job. So right now we do have crypto projects that are holding keys, but they're not really actively promoting to their community for whatever reason. Or if they are, they're only sharing a link to the merchandise and they're not talking about the game, the DeFi game. And so we're not seeing a huge influx of key minting from new partners. However, if brands can start to offer a really cool 15% cashback, basically incentive to their stakers, it's likely that they will tell their community to go and mint more keys in order to get that 15% commission. And that they're already earning 25%, so they could offer 15%, plus whatever percentage of the 25% they wanted to offer. And then this will allow them to start earning discounts on agency services. So I've been, consulting with certain people on how they can better promote their merchandise and what it could look like to run it as an actual business. And really what it comes down to is people want an agency to do it. And so, obviously that's my expertise. I've been doing agency services for 20 years and I have a team of people that I work with in a bunch of different projects that can really, help creator brands make a name for themselves and get their creator brand into a larger audience. And so the way this would look is the more key levels community members stake to a brand, the cheaper it becomes for that brand to access agency services. So these are made up numbers. We're going to have to calculate based on the dollars and cents of it, what this should be. But let's say that if 100 key levels are staked to your brand, which means I either minted keys and I up-leveled those to 100 key levels, or I got people in the community to stake their key levels to me. So now I get a 5% discount on agency services. If there's 500 key levels, maybe it's 10%. If there's 1,000 key levels, maybe it's 12.5%. We'll see what the right threshold is. Some of these may be too high and some of them may be too low. But the idea is that these agency services are available to creator brands because people have already started asking, especially some of the larger brands have already started asking about, are there ways or levers or things that they can pay money for to get a better boost? And right now, what that looks like is if somebody gives us money for ad budget, we'll manage it for them and direct that all towards their brand. This should be a service that we're paying for. And so those services can be available for purchase at a discount if you in NFTREASURE. So not only do you have to have these key levels staked, but you have to make the payment for services each month in the NFTREASURE token. And then we can decide, we'll probably have to take a certain percentage of that NFTREASURE and that they buy and potentially sell it in order to cover some of the costs. But everything that is, profit above those costs could be burned or something, or that can be part of the rewards distribution system once the e-commerce loop kicks in. Is this treasure outside of expenses gets distributed to the bonus pool. um we feel that, here's the opportunity that's happening in the agency world right now. So agencies started as human-driven organizations. And so you hired the best, most talented people at digital marketing, at SEO, at copywriting, and all of those people were humans that were in an agency. It was a physical building, and it costs a lot of money to hire those people. Then what ended up happening, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, is companies like Upwork and Fiverr came along, and all of a sudden you could get the same level of talent from offshore workers for infinitely cheaper. And so instead of having to pay somebody a yearly salary, you could just pay them hourly, and it was a way cheaper hourly rate. And so what happened is people started to form really tight SOPs or service. Why did I just forget what SOP stands for? SOP stands for standard operating procedure. So in the agency world, what we used to have to do is we would write an SOP, a standard operating procedure, and it was basically step by step. Okay, if I'm going to launch a Facebook ad, this is literally step by step how you make the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And then what we would do is we would then outsource that to somebody on Upwork for way cheaper. And so then I, as the person who invented the SOP, would just manage a team of Upwork people that were executing the SOP that I put into place. And then my job as the manager was to make those SOPs more efficient as we scaled our client list and worked with more and more offshore workers. The thing that's happening in agencies now is that AI is replacing many of those offshore workers, or it's not necessarily replacing them, but making them infinitely more effective and efficient. And so AI augmented agencies are the next thing. And these agencies can make a ton of money if they have the right SOPs in place. So in the background, what I've been trying to put together is all of the SOPs for the NFTREASURE agency that ultimately will help grow creator brands and help grow, and creator brands could be other crypto projects as well. This is what I already do as a consultant, but this will basically become part of the agency offering for creator brands. And this will, one, provide more revenue into NFTREASURE, because any agency client that NFTREASURE brings in, NFTREASURE is essentially going to get a commission on that. So that goes towards the revenue that gets distributed. But also, it benefits all the creator brands, and it increases the sale of merchandise. In theory, this would be the goal, because we're helping creator brands actually get their brand in front of people. So these promotional services that you can buy using your treasure, I mean, you could buy it with cash or USDC if you want, but if you want the discounts, you have to have the key level staked and you have to buy with treasure. So you could be featured on the homepage of the new NFTREASURE.com. You could be featured in an email marketing campaign. You could have an ad campaign run for you, and maybe depending on how many key levels staked, you get some ad budget as well, and that budget can increase the more key levels that you have. Retargeting ads, standalone e-commerce store, Twitter Spaces and brand highlights, tweets from the main NFTREASURE account, and potentially we can start to build out a network of Twitter accounts. Accounts and KOLs. That's key opinion leaders. And then merchandise review videos. So these are all things that we're about to roll out for NFTREASURE and some of our top creator brands. And basically the idea there of highlighting these top creators and giving them access to these tools for free at start is to build out some case studies, and then ultimately to kickstart the staking, so that when the new system goes live, you'll be able to stake your key levels to the brands that you see popping off. So we're still working out these details, and we're going to be putting it all into a white paper so that people can actually see the math and dive through. But I wanted to share this to keep everybody in the loop, to get your feedback, and to I guess say, I think we need to pause on the conversations that we're having in the Agora. Not pause, but I just wanted to present this as an alternative idea. This would be way easier and simpler to execute. And I think that it distributes better value back to key holders without complicating it with a bunch of crypto math. It's basically 15%. You stake your keys to a brand. 15% is distributed to that pool based on how many of the key levels in that pool you own. And that's end of story. We could talk about, do we distribute that? Do we use the commissions to buy treasure and then distribute treasure? So let's put some questions in here that we need to ask that we need to talk about and answer. And feel free to shut this idea down, and we can talk more about some of the stuff that's been discussed in the Agora. I just think that this is probably going to deliver more immediate value to key holders. So one question would be, do we distribute the 15% commissions as USDC or buy treasure off open market and distribute the treasure? So that's one question. Another question is, what was the other question that I had? Let me look back through this. Well, my mind is blanking on what the other question was. Oh, I know what it was. So, do key levels have bonding curve value? And what I mean by that is key level 1 valued at the same as key level 150 divided by 150, or divided by 1, which equals 150 key levels. So I'm not saying this well, but you see what I'm saying. Like, do higher key levels have more weight in brand staking? I think that they should, because it's harder to earn. And so, maybe each key level at level 150 has like a slight, the higher the key level for one key, the bigger a multiplier on each key level value. So something like at key level 150, each level is worth 1.1 or 1.2 or something. We'll have to think about that and think about the right way to communicate it, but that's the idea. I'm going to post this video now for discussion in the Agora, and yeah, just let's have an open conversation. And right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and burn the smarter that we need to burn to match all of the emissions in the DeFi game. And there was one other thing that I was going to do and address. Well, when I think about it, I'll put it in the general chat. Anyhow, let me know what you think about this idea. Bye.